Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to this week's episode of the weekly HO-Scale newsletter recaps for April 21st, 2025. If you're new to this series, this is where we take a look at a variety of newsletters in the HO-Scale community, talk about product announcements, updates, order deadlines, as you can see here. As always, before we get started, do me a favor and subscribe if you're new or if you find yourself coming back anyways. Really appreciate it. Best way to grow the channel and make me a couple dollars, so thank you very much. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, and drop me a comment if you found anything interesting or if there's anything I may have missed. Not always perfect, really appreciate that as well. Let's go ahead and get started here with Broadway Limited. And as you can see, we have 3 models with an order deadline of this upcoming week on April 24th. All 3 of these were announced at the Amherst show. We've talked about them before, so I'll skim a little quickly through them since you've seen them before. First up, the Yellow Jacket. This is the Class ES Pacific steam locomotive for the Chicago Northwestern, specifically for their 400s, which is pretty sweet. This is one of their brass hybrid models. You can see the full list of model features there. Of course, offered in stealth or with their Paragon 4 DCC sound. Next up, we've got the Fox River and the 2066 Power Car. I personally have a pre-order in for each of these. The modern versions, the ones shown here with the antennas on the front and rear of the Power Car, is an option. You can get them with sound or without sound with the Power Car. A little bit of the details here on screen as well. I think these look really nice in their renders. Here are the features. Just like the Kennefic business car, these have interior lights that are dimmable with touch controls, which is pretty cool. Haven't seen other manufacturers do that fairly recently. Here's 2 of those versions. Up top you can see the version without antennas and the one on bottom with antennas. They look the same regardless of if you get sound or non-sound. Here is the Fox River Theater car. There's 3 versions of this car, the Chicago Northwestern version and then a slightly older Union Pacific version shown here and a newer one with a white roof. A little bit of history on the car as well. Here's that Chicago Northwestern version. Very sharp paint scheme. Would look great with one of those yellow jackets. And the model features on the car. Fairly similar to the Kennefic as well. And that's all here from Broadway Limited in their newsletter here. We did have one quick product update, and this was just posted as I was recording the video. This is a sneak peek at their upcoming Class D Sha sample, which should be shown to the world on April 24th, coming up this week. So we'll probably take a look at the full model in the coming newsletter next week, but here's just a shot. Thought it'd be interesting and wanted to share it with you. We'll move on now to Tangent's newsletter next. Next up from Tangent Scale Models, we have a new release, a product now in stock. I may have said this incorrectly before, but Tangent pretty much just drops models and does not offer them for pre-orders. So they're ready to go at your local hobby shop or from Tangent themselves. Definitely keep an eye out for them. But this is the PS-2 32 15 cubic foot covered hoppers. Here's all of those paint schemes on screen there, but we'll take a look at some of the history right now and then some details about the specific cars themselves. So here's the Santa Fe version in delivery gray. A lot of text on the screen. Feel free to pause if you're interested in any of these in particular. Here's the Great Northern, very nice paint scheme there. Did pick up one of the GN hypotypical hoppers from ScaleTrains because I just love the GN scheme. There's the Minneapolis and St. Louis. Then the Norfolk and Western here. Lots of prototypical details on these cars and road-specific features. Here's the Sacramento Northern, which isn't often featured. We've got an SP up next. It's a pretty cool scheme with the gray trucks. Next up, the Chicago Great Western, which is a Chicago Northwestern repaint version. Of course, you got that herald on the side. Very sharp yellow. And of course, the Rock, one of my favorite paint schemes. Sort of the bankruptcy blue, but still one of my favorites. They do also offer a completely disassembled kit for you to go ahead and build your own. list of just the different kits they have as well, or you can buy the trucks themselves, which do have rotating bearing caps for all of the models. Here's some shots of those, a couple different variations depending on the car themselves, as well as some additional parts. We got some roof hatches you can buy separately. And here's a full list of all the features on these cars. Big fan of Tangent, very similar to Class 1 Model Works in my opinion in terms of the level of detail on these cars. So I'm really excited for those. I want to see what they come next. Right at the bottom there, the pricing, $60.95 for the models themselves, with a quantity discount if you buy them directly from Tangent. But that's all here we have from them. We'll move on now over to Athearn next. And next up, a fairly quick newsletter from Athearn. First up, talking about their new announcement of the Genesis GP50s. Couple fantasy schemes like the Frisco there. I'll let them play through. We did talk about all of them in detail 2 weeks ago, so if you're interested in all the features and all the paint schemes, definitely go ahead and check that out. Similarly, in the standard Athearn line, they also announced a new run of ST40s. Here are those paint schemes. I did mess up the Southern Pacific scheme, and the Olympic relay scheme is not exactly prototypical. Still think it looks pretty cool, but there's a little bit of additional modeling to be desired on that model. Those pre-orders for those models, as well as a couple other the GP units, close on May 2nd, so you got a little bit of time to decide. Models that are now in stock, though, are the HO and N scale F59PHIs in those schemes you can see on screen right now. So if you're interested in any of those, primarily Amtrak and a couple Metra units as well. On Train Tuesday, Athearn will be talking about the GP38-2s in a little bit of detail, so if you're interested, go ahead and check them out. That's always recorded as well. But that's all we have from Athearn for this week. Again, pretty quick one. We'll move on now to a quick product shout-out from Bachmann. From Bachmann, we have a product shout-out of a new model in stock, their GATX 4180 Air Slide Hoppers. Here's a little bit of prototype information as well as a prototype shot itself in that lovely BN scheme. Here's a look at the models they currently have in stock. They have 2 road numbers per road name here. And that's all that they have that's shown here. It's a couple BN schemes, a couple Union Pacific, got CSX, as well as the standard GATX scheme. Not too much variation between them, just the numbers are different. There's a list of the features there. And we do have one new model update. If you were waiting for their ore cars, here are a couple sample shots of those. So those are making their way through development, which is pretty sweet. Should be expecting in late 2025. We'll move on now over to Walthers next. Moving on to Walthers' e-update for the week. Same wording about tariffs at the start of this newsletter. Pretty much the same thing. No one knows what's going on. They're just no longer able to honor the pre-orders because of the tariffs, but everything's always changing. If you're interested in all that wording, you can go ahead and pause and read through that. Nothing's changed in their wording since last week. However, the models here featured have. First up, we got the PCNF insulated boxcar. Very nice model, bunch of different schemes currently in stock. Big fan of the Walthers mainline offerings. Really good models, as I always say, to fill out a fleet, because if you really don't care about all of the extra details or you want to add them yourself later, and you're buying a whole bunch of them and you won't notice, they're really good models. If you just want to buy a bunch of boxcars, buy a bunch of tank cars like these Trinity tankers here, really like this one. It's got the Chicago flag on the side. These are available for pre-order for fall delivery, so they're not in stock quite yet. I do have one of them that's been custom weathered. Really proud of that one. And maybe I'll feature it on the channel someday. Hasn't made an appearance yet, but a really good model. Very pleased about that, so I definitely recommend these ones. Model we saw in the new Product Express from last week are the Merchants Row kit buildings in the Cornerstone line. If you're interested in those, we talked about them a little bit more in detail last week. Similarly, the corrugated side gondolas are now in stock. Here's the Penn Central version. Really like that green color on it. A couple different variations of these. Lots of good offerings. Again, mainline model. Got a couple of these gondolas, one of them in the Railgun scheme, so I'm really pleased with them as well. Featured here is Bachmann with their SD40-2 with sound. Walthers typically features other manufacturers in here, and today Bachmann gets the shout out. Comes with the soundtracks decoder in it if you're interested in that. And finally, in N scale, just a shout out of a modeltrains model. Here's a PFE reefer, pretty cool model, nice paint scheme, but an N scale if you're interested in that. We'll finish off this week's episode with ScaleTrains next. And our final newsletter for this week will be ScaleTrains, where their warehouse price lockdown is still going on. Pretty much everything in stock won't change their price due to tariffs because it's already in stock, so don't have to worry about that. Some things have changed. We'll just briefly cover these once again. And scalers, here's a recap of locomotives that are now available with limited availability. Same with some rolling stock here. Know the Trinity hoppers recently arrived. And in HO scale, some of the locomotives still in stock with limited availability. Big ones there, the museum quality STL39s, a couple in the Wisconsin Central scheme, and a model that we haven't seen before featured the custom Gevo there on the left, number 2022, which was a fan-created design, which is pretty cool. I do have one of those Milwaukee Road GP40s, a couple of sound-equipped versions still available. Would definitely check out my review if you're interested. Really like that locomotive. And of course, the Class J's on the right as well. In terms of rolling stock, featured here, you got those Trinity reefers, more coming this summer as well if you missed the very first run of them. And they've been really pushing these water tender sets. Had a big sale on them a while ago, so definitely try to pick some of those up if those are models that you're looking to get one of these days. And of course in S scale, a couple pieces of rolling stock. And then some accessories here. They do sell decoders and lock programmers if you're interested in that, as well as label lubricants and smoke fluid would be perfect for that Class J. A little nice Easter message here as well. Hope everyone had a nice Easter if you do celebrate it. But I'll go ahead and wrap up this video here. Not a ton of new announcements this week, just some good information to talk about. Still waiting on my F40PHM-2s as of recording this. Should be in stock with Lombard Hobbies this week. So stay tuned for that. Very, very excited for those. Hope everyone else who has gotten those should be on their way as well as a ton of other models from Rapido as well that were held up in Buffalo due to the whole tariff situation, but they've all been shipped out over the past week, except for those PFE reefers should be arriving in late April, but everything else should be on their way. So really excited for all those models. If you did make it this far, consider subscribing. Really appreciate it. Helps to grow the channel and make me a couple of dollars, so thank you very much. Like the video if you enjoyed as well. Share this with a friend if you think they might find this interesting, and drop me a comment if you found anything interesting here yourself or just want to chat. Love going through those with you guys. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.